ready to cook up. I'm ready to cook up. Ready to cook up. Ready.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Ignite on the track. Back here with another producer reaction. I saw this video from Ocean. It said 10 years of brutal honesty, music production advice in 16 minutes. It's only 16 minutes and 48 seconds, so I figured I'd react to it and see what he has to say. Without further ado, let's get to it.
I'm going to be sharing with you things that I wish someone had told me when I first started out. The real unfiltered truth about being a producer, especially in 2025. Not just the surface level advice that you usually hear, but stuff that's actually going to move the needle for your career. So it's my birthday coming up this week, and it's made me reminisce on my career as a music producer so far. I've been producing for almost a decade. I've managed to make a full-time
Happy birthday.
living, work with some of the biggest artists in the UK, and now make electronic music and DJ. But let me tell you, it hasn't been easy. There's been some incredible highs and some crushing lows, and so many hard lessons learned along the way. Whether you've been producing for over 10 years or you just started producing yesterday, these tips are going to help you improve your craft. Before we dive right in, I've organized these insights into 5 key points. Some more to do with the mindset and some to do with your actual skills as a producer. Make sure you stay tuned right into the end, because honestly, number 5, that might be one of the biggest tips. It's going to save you a lot of headache as a producer. So let's start with perhaps one of the most misunderstood pieces of advice that is given to music producers. How many times have you heard this phrase? You need to be different. I've heard this so many times in producer interviews and tutorials. And while it does sound like great advice in theory, it often gets misconstrued. In the beginning, it definitely made me very confused. I remember when I was first starting to make beats in 2016, I was obsessed with trying to be different. I started adding weird sounds to my beats, like dog noises and sirens. I'm putting in weird rhythms in my drums. I thought I was being innovative and trying to reinvent the wheel. But then the breakthrough actually happened for me when I stopped trying to be unique, and instead I just started being me. And this is known as authenticity, probably the buzzword of 2025. But let me explain the distinction. Being different for the sake of being different often misses a fundamental truth about human psychology. You see, people connect with things that not only just feel fresh, but feels familiar. When you create something that feels too experimental or too alien, well, it's hard for a listener to have an anchor point. Our brains naturally seek patterns and connections to things that we already understand with something that's familiar. And I'm going to explain more about this in a bit. But for now, really and truly, you don't need to.
Yeah, you know, I think I get into this a lot, you know what I mean? So I start overthinking stuff and trying different sounds and stuff like that. So maybe I need to wheel it in a little bit, pull in the reins a little bit. I don't know.
Reinvent the wheel. Believe it or not, to be different or to just be authentic, you just need to be you. It sounds simple, but hear me out. True authenticity means channeling your unique experiences, your influences, your perspectives into your own music. Let's take Cash Cobain for example. He merged his love and his influences from R&B with drill and also his influences from Pharrell. He mixed it all up and Sexy Drill is born. He didn't reinvent the wheel of your music, he just put his own spin on it. Or even if we think back to the early 2000s when Kanye was first coming.
That's fire. And I didn't know it was called Sexy Drill. I gotta start paying attention to all this stuff.
Through. He would take old soulful records, which again wasn't particularly something that wasn't done before, but he would chop it up in a unique way, pitch it in a certain way, and so whenever you heard a Kanye beat, you knew it was his. So here's a way to think about unlocking your unique style. Think about things that have inspired you musically and also not musically. And then we're going to take one specific thing from each of those influences. Maybe you're inspired by Metro Boomin's drum patterns and Fred Again's droney melodies and Thundercat's bass lines. We can put that all together and come up with our own thing. We can use these elements as building blocks, and this is like your authenticity palette. When you combine these influences with your unique perspective, you come up with something different, but not because you're trying to be different, but because no one else is going to have this exact combination of influences and experiences. So to wrap it up, remember,
that's a fire way to look at it. That's a dope way to look at it. I actually might try that. That's dope. I appreciate that.
Remember, it's not about being different necessarily, but it's about being you and showing you in your music, because you are already different. So being you is essential, but I get it. that's probably not going to be enough without my second point. And that is, to make this work, you need to stay open-minded and always be trying new things. To find your identity in music, you got to be trying new things and see what works. The more you stay curious, the more you push boundaries, the more possibilities there are. Take Missy Elliott's hit, for example, Get Your Freak On, produced by the GOAT Timbaland. He took Bollywood music, added his hip-hop flair, and created something groundbreaking. And definitely at that time, that wasn't something common. He didn't just stick to what he knew, he pushed the boundaries by combining different cultural elements that resonated with him. And that's definitely one of the huge reasons why I personally love to collaborate with random musicians just to see what happens. I've collaborated with opera singers to harp players to fusion and just see what we can come up with. But also, the magic can happen when you least expect it to. There's been times when I've been in my door and I've made a little mistake, or I've put something in the wrong place and I've hit play, but it sounds way better than the original idea I even had in my head. And that can lead to some cool outcomes too. Like I was saying earlier in the first point, another way to do this is by taking things from the past and giving it a modern day spin. So for example, Malpi's huge hit Drugs from Amsterdam, he explained that he took inspiration from 90s rave music in terms of like the stabs and the saws, and then he just put a modern day tech house spin on it, and it became what it became. And you can see examples of this throughout modern music. Here's the thing about experimentation though, it doesn't always work, but when it does, man, it can be transformative. And even if it doesn't, well, you've learned something from it. So definitely don't be afraid to push boundaries and try something new with your productions. Maybe you make trap beats all the time and you want to try making a house beat one day, and then somehow you discover that you like something from house that you want to add to your trap beats, and then somehow you come up with your own thing. I feel like magic happens with your willingness to push boundaries, but with your authentic perspective on it. Now, adding to...
I respect that, because I'll be wanting to make some different stuff, to be honest with you, but sometimes I get caught up in what I'm actually, like, you know what I mean, just making trap beats and stuff like that. So, you know, I don't know about the house, but I might try something. You never know.
Open-mindedness, my next point might be a little bit controversial, but let's talk about something that is crucial for longevity, and that's staying open-minded and adaptable, especially as technology evolves. Music production has changed dramatically over the years. We went from recording on tape in the 60s and 70s and having to nail every single take, to now we're using DAWs and VSTs, and we're living in a day and age where producers don't even necessarily need to know music theory to make a good track, and things are progressing even faster with the rise of AI. When you start to find your workflow and your sound, you naturally want to stick with what you know, and that's completely fine because consistency, it builds on your expertise. But there is a difference between having a reliable process and being resistant to change. AI is a hot topic right now, and a lot of creators are against it, mainly because of the ethical reasons. But I think the key to approaching any new technology is with curiosity and not with fear. So ask yourself, could this make my workflow faster, easier, better, more enjoyable? Could it perhaps free up your focus so you can actually spend time doing the things in production that you actually like? Could it perhaps even turn you into a half-decent singer so you don't have to hire a vocalist right there and then, saving you time and money for now? Not every new technology or innovation is going to be right for you, but dismissing it right off the bat, it might be a missed opportunity. I've got a tool that's definitely going to speed up your workflow and get your ideas out faster. I'm going to share that with you later on in the video, so stick around. But producers that I've seen maintain long careers, incorporate new tools and techniques that enhance their creative process, but are still able to maintain their unique sound. So stay curious, keep learning, be adaptable. Technology is just going to constantly continue to evolve, but the need for human creativity, taste, is never going to go away. Let's talk about something that is complete.
I definitely use AI a lot, to be honest with you. It's mostly because I started off just rap. I didn't want to have to pay producers to make beats, so I decided I was going to make my own beats. That's why I started learning the game. As far as AI, it makes my workflow a lot faster. We've been using AI for a long time on a lot of beat production, so I don't understand what the beef about it is now, but I guess people got to talk about if it's ethical or not ethical. I don't know. It works, helps out.
Transform my production, and that is the power of intentional details. Early in my career, I used to think that the more complex the beat, the better it is. I used to do this thing that you might have heard of called over-producing, which essentially means that you just keep on adding and adding and adding more sounds to the beat, thinking that it's getting better, but really and truly, it's making the beat a lot worse. But then I came across some advice, I think by Pharrell, where he said that less is more. It's not always about adding more sounds to the track, but instead making sure that every sound is intentional and you're getting the most out of every sound that you're using. Every sound has its place. And so I did a 360. Instead of overproducing, I completely simplified my beats. I took this a little bit too literal, and I can't lie, I missed the meaning. Where I went wrong, I started to withdraw a lot of the effort that I was putting into my beats, going with really basic arrangement and not adding too much layers, and then just calling it done. And the feedback I'll always get back is something seems missing. Now don't get me wrong, I completely agree with less is more, but there's definitely some nuance to it. I remember being in the session with a particular producer and I noticed something about his process. After creating the foundation of a track, he would go back in and spend time just adding small details. These weren't major elements, these were just very small details. And this could be textural layers that came in for a few bars, atmospheric sounds that maybe added a bit to the drop and then was taken away. I remember in particular he added some vinyl sound, some crackling right into the intro. But as soon as you stripped away that vinyl sound, the whole feeling just changed. It felt like something was missing, but you added it back, it sounded good. And that moment for me was really eye-opening. And this isn't about perfectionism or overproducing. It's about intentional enhancement, adding small details, or also what's known as ear candy, to make your track unforgettable. And so I started doing this with my music. Instead of just finishing off a beat and calling it a day, I would really put some effort into that last 5% to see what details can I add in that can really enhance and really make this beat better. So for example, in a track that I recently made, and I dropped this one on SoundCloud if you do want to check it out, I added in just a few effects after the drop just to enhance it. I added in these stabs right here and then this kind of siren sound. So here's how the track sounds without the extra effects after the drop. This is how it sounds now. So it just gives a lot more impact after the drop. It's nothing groundbreaking, it's nothing crazy, but it definitely adds a lot because you notice it as soon as it's not there. What's fascinating about this, listeners rarely know the details, but they absolutely feel when it's not there. Speaking of textures, let me put you onto some sauce that I...
That's fire. Okay. I definitely could do that. I definitely could use that one.
Promised earlier that has definitely been helping me with my workflow in my beats. I've been using Co-Producer by Output to help me add to my ideas and polish them up. And shout out to them for sponsoring this video. If you've been watching my videos, you know I've been using Output for years. One of my go-tos. So here's a track that I've been working on. The foundation is there, but I still want to add some more details, some more ear candy to it, just to really step it up a little bit. So in this section here, with the drums and the drone sound, I'm hearing some more atmospheric elements. So I'm going to open up Co-Producer on my master channel. And what I'm going to do is capture my audio. So it's going to take a listen to my beat. Let's select the key. I'm in C major, A minor. And then once I hit find samples, it's not writing any music for us. It's just looking for sounds that can fit our track. So like I was saying before, I want to go for something that is atmospheric.
Wait, time out. I did not know it did all that. Okay. I'm tapped in.
So I like this ukulele sound. It's got like a very intense kind of feeling to it. And I think that could work in contrast with the drone that I'm using. So I just dragged it straight into my project. Just turn it down quite low. And just with a little bit of reverb, I've panned it to the right too. It's very subtle, but it's just adding to that kind of airy kind of feeling. Let's see what else we can find. I want to try and add in a transition effect. I like how that's panning side to side. Let me drag that in. The good thing about this too, it drags it straight to our BPM, so we don't have to worry about time stretching it or anything like that. And then I'm just going to automate the EQ as well. So we take out the lows. Yeah, that's cool. In this second breakdown over here, it would be nice to add a melodic element that introduces something new. So maybe we could try like a piano lead and see what it comes up with. Man, that's a really cool melody. Let me drag that in.
Yo, this That joint fire. I see what he doing there. All right.
And then my original pianos will come in with the automation. And then we can even automate this back down. So as you can see, co-producer by Output, super clutch tool. I love it to just enhance whatever I've got going on already. And if you do want to check it out, I've got a link in the description below for you. You can go ahead and get a 7-day trial for free. Or if you already have Arcade by Output, then you can go ahead and get this 60 days for free. Let's get back to the video. So before you call any track finished, think about that last final 5%. And remember, it's not about adding sound that's going to distract you from your core elements. It's just to enhance it. And my final principle, honestly, this one might be the most important. And that is to have patience. But not in the sense of production.
Something I don't practice well. All right, let's try. I got good patience, but some days.
So let me explain. My biggest placement today is called Press the Button by Young Ads. And that was released in March 2022. But what you probably didn't know is that I actually made that loop during lockdown in 2020. Young Ads actually leaked a version. He played it live on Instagram. And judging by the people's reaction, I thought, okay, yeah, this one's definitely coming out. But then nothing, just by Young Ads. And that was released in March 2022. But what you probably didn't know is that I actually made that loop during lockdown in 2020. Young Ads actually leaked a version. He played it live on Instagram. And judging by the people's reaction, I thought, okay, yeah, this one's definitely coming out. But then nothing, just complete crickets. I didn't hear back from anyone. Months passed, then eventually a year, then eventually 2 years. And to be honest with you, I completely forgot about it. I just assumed that it's probably gonna be stuck away in the vault and never see the light of day. And then 2 years later, out of nowhere, I get a DM from the other producer on the track. He hits me up and he tells me, press the button, it's being dropped tomorrow. No warning, no build up, just suddenly like that. The beat I made and completely forgot about was finally seeing the light of day. And going through this definitely taught me something crucial when it comes to being a music producer. The work that you do today, you might not see the results from it tomorrow, next month, next year, but that doesn't mean that it's wasted. In 2023, I probably did close to 100 sessions with artists and made so many songs. Some were in the works to be released, and I actually even saw a full-on music video of one of the tracks that we recorded. But it just never dropped. Maybe one day in the future it will, or maybe not. I don't really know. That's just how the game goes. I've seen producers quit because they didn't get what they wanted out of music on the timeline that they thought it would happen. So rather than dwelling on the results, I think you should just keep yourself in the game as long as you can and keep moving forward. The overnight success stories that we always hear about, they often come with years and years and years of hard work in the background that no one ever sees. But they've kept themselves in the game long enough to one day eventually receive their blessings. So how do you cultivate patience, especially in a world where instant gratification is glorified? First of all, I'd say focus on the process, not just the outcome. Find joy in the craft itself rather than thinking about the outcome. It will take a lot of pressure off your shoulders too. It's also good to create systems that keep you consistent even when your motivation kind of wears off. I personally find it good for myself when I set goals that are more to do with progress instead of just straight up placements and numbers. And remember, every beat that you make, every skill that you develop, every relationship that you build is an investment into the future, even if you can't see the results, the return on it right now. And that's okay. Just keep on creating and touch wood, your time will come. So those are the 5 things that I wish someone had told me about being a music producer in the beginning. I hope you found it useful. Let me know in the comments below which one resonated with you the most, and also if you have any insights or tips that you would like to share to your younger self. And if you enjoyed this video, you're definitely going to love this one right here, where I share with you if I had to start learning music production from scratch, from the beginning, from not knowing anything, these are the exact steps that I would take.
I definitely appreciate that advice. Definitely think that is applicable to anybody at any point music production career. I think he gave out some solid stuff that I probably heard before, but just probably forgot, to be honest with you. You know, it's a lot to try to remember, but yeah, it's stuff that, like, the part about adding the extra elements and stuff like that. Yeah, that's something that I could definitely do better, and he just gave me a somewhat of a cheat code, so I definitely appreciate that. Hey, my name's Ignite on the track. I go by Ignite Producer on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. I appreciate anybody that comes through and watch any of my videos or my lives. Salute. Peace. I'm out.
Ready to cook up. I'm ready to cook up. Ready to cook up. I'm ready.